in theaters now, in somewhat limited release, you may have to sort of dig for this one, is the Finnish-Swedish horror film Hatching. This is a strange one. I went in relatively blind. I think I'd seen a trailer for this that was sort of obtuse. And basically, I'll give you the basic breakdown in this movie. It's weird. The basic breakdown in this movie is this seemingly perfect family in, I believe, Sweden. The mother is very social media. She's always filming her perfect family and doing a video blog about how perfect her family is and how to live a perfect life and perfect. And one day a bird flies into the house and the daughter is trying to catch it. The perfect daughter. There's a father, son, mother, daughter. The perfect daughter is trying to catch it. And at some point the girl throws a little sheet or a towel or something over the bird. And the mother says, "Oh, give it to me." And the mother breaks its neck. And the girl is somewhat horrified that her perfect mother, always smiling, would do something so cruel and callous and say, "Just throw this away." So later, one thing leads to another. The little girl finds an egg, keeps it under her pillow. The egg gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And eventually the titular hatching occurs. And what hatches is something other than else. And the rest of the film is this young girl trying to keep this thing that hatched a secret. And this thing that hatched has this very strange symbiotic relationship to this little girl and starts sort of taking revenge for the little girl and starts transforming into something else. This is a very strange, very, in some ways, fairy tale-like movie. I mean, set in the modern age in Sweden. And it's in Swedish/Finnish and subtitled, but it's a good movie, so reading is okay. And it's very gooey, very maybe gooey is the right word at times, and kind of brutal, kind of horrifyingly brutal at times, and very, very lovely in others. And it's really this young girl's awakening of sorts, the young girl's relationship with her mother, who is a failed, once award-winning figure skater who had an injury and now is sort of pushing her daughter very hard to be perfect and to excel at gymnastics, even though she doesn't really want to. And it's this struggle between the various aspects of the family and this mother that, despite her always perfect veneer and outward appearances, is very imperfect. So I quite enjoyed Hatching. I saw it in AMC. AMC, as much as they're this giant film movie chain conglomerate that shows all the blockbusters, they do, most at least, manage to carve out at least one screen for harder to see independent art house kind of stuff, which is nice because a lot of theaters, with the limited number of screens that they have and they're trying to make money, will show those giant Marvel movies and things like that, and it tends to squeeze out the little guy in a lot of cases. So I think Hatching is certainly worth seeing if you're a horror fan. If you liked movies like Hereditary, it kind of has that A24 vibe. I don't believe this was an A24 release, but it has that vibe of modern horror, but very understated, very nicely shot. It takes its time. I'd never found it boring by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not like, fast cuts, shaky camera, and speed metal. It's not one of those. It doesn't have all the horrorisms, what I like to call everything I hate about modern horror. It doesn't do that. It's very lovely to look at, and the serenity and loveliness of the environment and this perfect family makes the horror an even harsher contrast than if it was one of these Rob Zombie Halloween type movies where everybody in it's already miserable and the horror just piles it on. Which is not to say the people in this movie aren't miserable in their own ways. They just never let it out. It's a veneer of perfect, a veneer of Swedish perfect that is cracked, if you will, by the Hatching. So I would recommend, if you can find it in a theater, eventually, like everything, it'll be streaming it on video. And by the time you watch me rambling about this movie, it may well only be available streaming in video. But like anything, I say, if you can get to see it in a theater where you can focus your attention more and the picture and the sound are better, I would see it in the theater. Hatching.